Thank you, staff.
You can roll the tape. Good afternoon. I'll call to order this meeting of the Hennepin County Board of Commissioners on Tuesday, September 25th, 2025 at 1:31 p.m. I'm Irene Fernando, Chair of the Board and District 2 Commissioner. I'm joined by District 1 Commissioner Jeff Lundy, District 3 Commissioner Marion Green, District 4 Commissioner Angela Conley, Vice Chair and District 5 Commissioner Debbie Gotel, District 6 Commissioner Heather Edelson, and District 7 Commissioner Kevin Anderson. Hennepin County acknowledges that the magnificent land and vibrant waterways from which our institutions benefit are located upon the cultural, spiritual, and indigenous homeland of the Dakota Oyate. Hennepin County calls attention to the Dakota people's ongoing connection to this special place. On to the agenda. The first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next is to approve the agenda. May I have a motion, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioners Lundy and Green. All those in favor of the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 3 is Hennepin highlights, for which we have none. 4 is the minutes from the previous meeting, specifically 4A from the meeting on September 9th, 2025. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Commissioners Lundy and Anderson. Any notes or corrections to the minutes? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5 is referral of correspondence and department communications. 5A and B are correspondence, and 5C to 5V are department communications. May I have a motion to accept and refer as recommended?
So move, Goto.
Thank you, Commissioners Gotel and Lundy. All those in favor? Oh, go ahead.
I just want to call out item 5O. I look forward to discussing that the next time we meet as committees.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for highlighting 5O, responsible contractor policy offered by Commissioner Conley.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other notes on the motion or discussion on the motion prior to voting? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 6 is commendations, for which we have none. 7 is Commissioner communications, and we have 2. We will start with the NACO AI conference, and I'll hand it over to Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last week, Hennepin County hosted the National Association of Counties AI Central Regional Forum. The forum was a series of events across the country that brings together local government leaders and staff to broaden their understanding of AI and Gen AI and learn more about the trends, opportunities, challenges, and impacts on local government. A few highlights of this two-day event were the panel with our very own Hennepin County employees who are helping us navigate AI and touring the county's data center. It was a great opportunity to share our approach and framework for our utilizing AI within our own organization. I do want to express my sincere gratitude to all of the county government leaders from across the region. We had good turnout from Minnesota. We had commissioners and staff from 5 states in the surrounding area coming that we were able to host. So it was great to see leaders from across really the central region of the U.S. Come and spend these days learning about AI. In a constantly evolving digital landscape, it's really valuable to have these conversations with our peer organizations so we can all benefit from the shared knowledge, experience, and partnership in implementing these really new and emerging technologies. Also, a huge thank you to Hennepin County staff who did just a really magnificent job hosting and setting up and making sure that we had everything we needed for the event. Thank you to NACO representatives that work together to make this a great event for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. The next Commissioner communication is the Mississippi Gateway Regional Park grand opening, and I'll hand it over to Commissioner Lundy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Along with the people cheering outside, I just want to express my excitement for the Mississippi Gateway project. On Saturday, I had the honor of attending the grand opening ceremony of the Mississippi Gate Regional Park along with Commissioner Anderson. This brand-new park combined the Brooklyn Park Environmental Nature Area with the Coon Rapids Dam and sits at the border of Brooklyn Park and Coon Rapids. Since 2002, the county has partnered with the City of Brooklyn Park and Three Rivers Park District to create a multi-use trail along Westward Road that links directly to Mississippi Gateway Regional Park and connects to the Rush Creek Regional Trail System. The park features the beautiful Mississippi Gateway Center, the Treetop Trail elevated walkway, nature-based play areas, learning areas, an archery range, off-leash dog park, and improvements to fishing and picnic areas. This reconstruction will allow residents to enjoy the park all year round. Additionally, the county has invested grade-separated crossings to improve accessibility and safety for people traveling along the Rush Creek Regional Trail, such as the underpass at Douglas Drive. This will make it easier for residents to bike, walk, and explore the area while avoiding busy roads. The initiative is deeply personal to me. Back in 2007, when I first ran for office, one of the key messages on my campaign literature was the need to celebrate the Mississippi River more. I believe it then, and I still believe it today. I'm beyond proud that we were able to get this done and provide the community with accessible access to one of Minnesota's great natural resource. Last, I just want to mention, there's always been trails back in there for people to go, but they are not accessible trails. That has changed with this work, so all people of all capabilities are able to do it. And I just want to also mention, I think one challenge we have is people want to put a bubble wrap around nature to protect it. And unfortunately, the future generations need to get into nature. And there is a stream that's called a soft stream that allows kids to play in it, and the rocks are actually soft. So kids can get the sense of being in a stream, playing with it without having the inevitable fall and crashing their head into something hard. That'll happen later when they're adults. So anyway, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next on the agenda is the Claims Register. 8A is for the Claims Register for the period ending September 12, 2025, and 8B for the period ending September 19, 2025. May I have a motion for both, please?
Move approval?
Thank you, Commissioners Conley and Green. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9 is our consent agenda. These are items that would have passed unanimously out of committee. 9A, in this block, I will draw attention to 9Q, and I'd like to pull that out. This is setting our maximum levy. I would like to vote on that separately to make sure that we have the presentation for the administration. So I'd like to entertain a motion for 9A to 9P as well as 9R.
So move, Gotel.
Thank you, Commissioners Gotel and Green. Colleagues, prior to voting on that motion, are there any other items that you'd like to verbally highlight before we vote? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Remaining on the consent agenda is 9Q, setting a maximum 2026 property tax levy and proposed 2026 budget. I'll move this. May I have a second? Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Ms. Wetland.
Chair Fernando, Commissioners, this board resolution sets the maximum 2026 proposed tax levy and proposed 2026 budget. The proposed 2026 maximum property tax levy is $1,127,321,508, a 7.79% increase compared to the 2025 adopted levy. This proposed property tax levy includes a total of 9,762 full-time equivalent employees, a decrease of 249.7 vacant full-time employee positions achieved through attrition. As I shared with you, this budget was not easy to build. It represents tough decisions, slow growth, and careful management in the face of uncertain state and federal funding conditions. Staff are available to take any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Discussion. Thank you, Ms. Wetland. Discussion? Commissioner Ellison.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to Ms. Wetland. As much as I'll definitely be supporting this, and I think as we go into the months ahead, as we can find ways to try to, to get it as low as possible, I think is going to be really important. There's some communities in my district where it's going up almost 20%, and so that's a lot. I've already been emailing with some of my mayors, and there's a lot of frustration from at least 6 of my cities that are seeing increases anywhere from 16 to 20% with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Also support this. I know it is not easy, and I know I have mentioned this last week, but being really clear, this is a result of cuts and lack of support from the state and federal governments that we have come to rely on for programs that we are required to offer. And it is the result of that disinvestment from other levels of government while maintaining the necessity of providing those services that our residents rely on. And so I really appreciate the efforts that have been taken to make sure that we're still delivering high quality, essential services to residents who need them, while obviously being responsible to the extent we can. And I absolutely agree with you, finding ways that we can trim back to the extent responsible to make sure that we can achieve a lesser impact on people whose properties are going up and they haven't realized those gains. So, thank you.
Commissioner Goodell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say that I appreciate all the work that has gone into this. I follow the budget process really minutely as we'll start again right in January. I think I want to follow up on what Commissioner Anderson was saying. We know what's already come down as far as for cuts at the state and federal level, but we also know there's a future of cuts. We also know that there's a future of more absorption of more costs. So not only is this budget reflecting that, it's reflecting what the future may hold and how we can hold dollars so that we can be made whole. And so that when we look at next year's levy, we're not looking at double digits. There are a lot of our colleagues at the county level that are looking at double digits, and they are higher than us. The other ones that are lower are around 8 and 9%. So I think you're very mindful of the lives and the impact financially to our residents, and I just want to say how much I appreciate that. And we've got a long road ahead of us in the next couple of years as we see more increases come. So I just wanted to make this clear about what the path holds before us.
Commissioner Conley.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to staff and administration for all of the months of work on budget. That is incredibly difficult, given what we've already heard. In light of, though, the conversation around these disastrous cuts to human beings that have been handed down from the federal government, they have neglected to shift that conversation to what it really is, and it's a property tax conversation. It's how we pay for the services that we provide, and we are very limited in that we can only do that through property tax dollars. It's no secret that I am very much interested in looking at new ways that we can bring revenue into our county, because continuing on this path, with just using property tax to do what we do best isn't sustainable going forward, especially given the unknowns with SNAP, Medicaid, and whatever else may come down. So again, to avoid double-digit increases in the future, we've really got to be looking at how do we diversify our portfolio? Where do we get new additional revenue? I think we're there, just another little push from me, but I'm satisfied with where we're at. I appreciate that our core values are something that guide this budgeting process, and we don't take these percentages lightly when it comes to that. We need to maintain service delivery, and service delivery is feeding people. It's keeping people housed. It's keeping people healthy and alive, and that says a lot. So I think that is reflective in here, and as we go on into future budget hearings and conversations, we'll get a bird's eye view and a very close deep dive into what 7.79 really means going forward into 2026. So thank you.
Commissioner Green.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and many thanks to administration for the work that leads us to this conversation in this quarter of our year, and I look forward to saying that again. As I consider this, and maybe this is sort of a peek under the tent for how I'm going to be thinking about this conversation in the next couple months, which is continuity on our safety net mission. Absolutely. Sensitivity to what these financial pressures mean for homeowners. But if I were to sum it up in one word, it is continuity. Thank you.
Commissioner Lundy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to thank everybody who spoke before and also give my appreciation. I know, as we know, that the budget started in January 1. So all this preparation, trying to see what can we do without, looking at staff reduction through attrition versus RIFs, and also making sure that we invest in areas that need help, that it's not just some goal of everyone has a cut, but some areas are going to need more. And so being reflective of that, I know that whether it's a county or city, everybody is in the same boat right now to try to create resources. I'll just offer, as we go through this process, I would encourage anybody, residents who look at this, to actually go to the Hennepin County website, look up your property and see where your taxes are. A tax levy increase does not always mean that your taxes go up. It depends on things, and I always use this, and I did it last time, is if your median value went up 10% in your community and your house went up 9%, you're probably paying less taxes. It's always been a simple rule when I was mayor and council member, that is the biggest determinant. Your share of the pie matters to the tax burden. And yes, this is going to increase the size of that pie. So I just encourage everyone to look at that and see where different things are. And certainly reach out and have conversations. But I do appreciate, and I do think there's an opportunity. I think, as Commissioner Gotell mentioned, this isn't a one-year deal. Like this, and so I do think the county, and I include the sheriff's department, include the county attorney's office, we need to start to look at redundant activities. And that doesn't mean they're bad activities. It just mean, do each of us need to do the same thing? And I think we do need to have those conversations. And I know that sometimes conversations can involve pyramids and turf, but the fact is, if we have things that are duplicative, we need to start to make it a single source. They're just, the days have ceased where we have the ability to just have everyone have things at all times. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And my comments are very complimentary to what my colleagues have shared. Immense gratitude to staff, gratitude to residents who depend on us, gratitude to residents who contribute to our mission via property taxes, via feedback. And so this is the beginning of a process in some ways, and an important signal of the type of leadership that this board is seeking to embody in a very, very unusual and difficult time period in our communities. People depend on the county. We are the caregivers of government, and in times that are harder, our services are often needed with greater need, greater complexity, and greater care. That's the leadership that you're hearing on this dais that has absolutely been reflected and extended and bolstered by staff. And so thank you, Administrator Wetland and team, for your first budget proposal. The other aspect that I would like to amplify is the ways in which this board is speaking about our attention to how much money we do comes in our care. And that is increasing revenue, that is looking at consolidation of efforts. And at least for me, I am quite interested, as we mentioned previously, in those mechanisms that decrease the pie before it even gets to us. There are tax efforts, or there are programs available that decrease the amount that comes for services and residents. And I'm, in addition to increasing revenue sources and being smarter about our spend, it is time for us to systemically understand who is all contributing to the pie, who all is taking a slice from that pie, and how are we advocating as fiercely as possible towards our mission, and with gratitude to the taxpayer, the people who are allowing us to fund this important work. That being said, there is a motion and a second on this item That, conceptually represents a 7.79% increase. It's almost a $3.1 billion budget. It's tens of thousands of employees, workers, contractors, providers, and their livelihoods under our care, and we take that very, very seriously. Without further discussion, we'll proceed to vote of 9Q. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 10 on the agenda are non-consent items. This would have passed out of committee, but not unanimously, for which we have none. 11 are progressed items. That means an item that would have been seen at a committee and then progressed to board without a vote, for which we have none. Old business are items that would have been seen by this board previously and laid over or tabled to today, for which we have none. 13 is immediate approvals, and we have several. 13A is Mental Illness Awareness Week proclamation offered by Commissioner Edelson. Would you like to move it?
Yes, I would move it.
I will second it. Go ahead.
Thank you. The Hennepin County Mental Health Local Advisory Council passed a motion requesting the Hennepin County Board of Commissioners make a formal proclamation recognizing Mental Illness Awareness Week, which takes place on October 6th through October 12th. On behalf of the board, our gratitude to the members serving in this important role on the Local Advisory Council, and thank you for bringing this forward. I know that we don't have anyone present, but they are watching online, so our gratitude to you. I'll ask the clerk from now to read the proclamation.
Whereas 1 in 5 adults and 1 in 6 youth in the United States experience a mental health condition each year. And whereas people living with mental health conditions are important members of our communities and quality mental health care, treatment, and support can make a recovery a reality. And whereas the many family members, friends, colleagues, and neighbors of those living with mental health conditions are also affected. And whereas stigma surrounding mental health conditions is a barrier to many seeking help, and research shows that talking openly about mental health is an effective way to reduce that stigma. And whereas county services strive to ensure all people in Hennepin County impacted by mental illness or substance use disorder have timely and equitable access to needed care. Therefore, be it resolved that the Hennepin County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims October 6th through 12th, 2025 as Mental Illness Awareness Week, with encouragement to all Hennepin County residents to see mental health, speak openly with your loved ones, and seek out and share mental health supports.
Thank you, Maria. And with that, as a former therapist, before I was elected, I did outpatient mental health therapy. So I did a lot of women's health and youth health. And the reality is when we think about mental illness, we don't oftentimes tie our mental health with our physical health, and they're one and of the same. We've been trying to talk about that for years, making sure that we have parity, and in terms of reimbursement and how that looks. It was an honor last week. Actually, NAMI recognizes this week already. It's not a state holiday. It's not a national holiday, which is too bad, and I think we have work to do. But it was an honor to be at Sue Abder-Holden, who's led NAMI for the state of Minnesota. Last week, she retired after 2 decades of service. She's somebody I worked closely with when I was elected, and on how we break stigma. So if you know a loved one that's struggling, we are also honoring Suicide Awareness Month this month. But make sure to tell people to go see a therapist. Honestly, once or twice a year is enough. You don't have to commit to going often. I think just checking in with somebody that cares about you. So I don't know if anybody else has anything.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Edelson. Further discussion, Commissioner Conley.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Commissioner Edelson. As a former member of the Adult Mental Health Local Advisory Council, this is especially meaningful, and this week is meaningful. And I remember that it probably was about 2016 that I was a part of the Local Advisory Council's work to end stigma, especially in communities where we just don't talk about it, and that it is absolutely okay to not be okay and to seek help when you are not okay. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Commissioner Gotel.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm so excited about all the work that the county has done to destigmatize bringing mental health into our schools. If we get our kids to accept this as part of the average way you treat yourself. You go for your physical, you go for mental health stabilization. That's a really big piece if we can start with this generation that's in those schools. And I just want to say that we have some incredible resources. I have called for people. I've called COPE. I've called some of our other resources. I talked to the cities about 1800 Chicago, and they talk about the utilization of that. And a lot of this, people don't realize you don't have to have insurance to go to these. You can find low-cost or free services for counseling if that's what you really need. And I am so grateful that the county is a big piece of this. That's how you remove this stigma. So thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Thank you, Commissioner Edelson, for bringing this forward. Mental health is health, and the more we are able to speak about it, resource it, is absolutely necessary for a vibrant and healthy community. So thank you. With a motion and a second for this proclamation, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and October 6 to 12 is proclaimed as Mental Illness Awareness Week here in Hennepin County. 13B is the appointment of David Lawless to the Minnesota Ballpark Authority. I'll move this. May I have a second?
Second.
I know there's a lot there. Commissioner Gotell got you, but Ms. Wentland.
Chair Fernando, Commissioners. In 2006, the legislature established the Minnesota Ballpark Authority. The authority is governed by a commission consisting of 5 members. 2 members are appointed by the governor. 2 members, including the chair, are appointed by the Hennepin County Board of Commissioners, and 1 member is appointed by the City of Minneapolis. The members serve at the pleasure of the appointing authorities. In September of 2016, pursuant to Minnesota statutes, the County Board of Commissioners appointed James Campbell to serve as a member of the authority. In July of 2025, Mr. Campbell notified the authority of his resignation. This board action brought in front of you today does the following. It routinizes appointments to the authority by implementing set terms for appointments so that these appointments can be reviewed on a regular basis. And it appoints Mr. Dave Lawless to a 4-year term effective immediately. This appointment will fill the Hennepin County seat previously held by Mr. Campbell. Mr. Lawless brings extensive experience in finance and has significant knowledge and experience regarding the Minnesota Ballpark Authority. Mr. Lawless is a Hennepin County resident. He has completed the Hennepin County Conflict of Interest form. County administration is recommending the appointment of Mr. Dave Lawless to serve as a Hennepin County appointee to the Minnesota Ballpark Authority. Thank you.
Thank you. This is quite the ploy to get here on Max Levy Day, Dave. I mean, this is very involved. I'm joking. Thank you for your extensive financial experience. It is quite lucky for us that you're willing to take on this appointment. It is a unique set of authorities that contributed to both the ballpark and this the actual BPA. So I'm just very grateful. Discussion on this, Commissioner Gotell.
I'm glad to see you back here too, and thank you for serving the county. I'm sure you want to come up to the podium and address us, aren't you? I mean, you love the public eye, don't you, Mr. Lawless?
Nicely done.
It's good to see you.
Commissioner Fernando, commissioners, I am honored to take this on. I'm not sure that coming back has always been the forefront of my thought process. This does seem like a good opportunity to use some of my past knowledge and provide some service to the county.
We appreciate you.
Further discussion on this? I, of course, want to thank Mr. Campbell for 9 years of service here. Really appreciate the making a process and to ensure that we have terms similar to the other appointing authorities. So appreciate that. With no further discussion on this item, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and congratulations to Mr. Lawless on your appointment. The next few items, 13C through 13E, 13F, are all JPAs with the City of Minneapolis related to shelter and housing stability and all receivables. I can read them into the record, but if it pleases the board, I'd be happy to take a moment, a block motion, for all of these.
I'll move the block.
Thank you. So 13C is to amend a JPA with the City of Minneapolis to accept HUD Emergency Solution Grant funds for rapid rehousing for homeless persons, June 1, 2024 to September 30, 2026, a receivable of just under $295,000 to incorporate language changes to Section 3 and replacing Exhibit B of the agreement. 13D is an amendment with a JPA with the City of Minneapolis for HUD ESG funding for emergency shelter essential services. Period is Jan 1, 25 to April 30, 26. $100,000 receivable. Again, it's to incorporate language changes to Section 3 of the agreement. 13E is to amend a JPA with the City of Minneapolis for HUD ESG funding for street outreach, Jan 1, 25 to April 30, 26. This is a $300,000 receivable to incorporate language changes to Section 3 of the agreement. And 13F is to amend a JPA with the City of Minneapolis to support the administration of operations activities for a winter warming center, May 1, 2025 to September 30, 2026, just under $580,000 as a receivable to incorporate language changes to Section 3 with no change to the receivable NTE. With a motion and a second for 13C to 13F before us, while it's an immediate approval, these are items that we have seen at length. Are there any questions or desire for background or any context we should be, Commissioner Lundy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question. So when these are, assuming agreed on by us, they also have to be received by the City of Minneapolis? I only ask because I have a member of this Minneapolis City Council who's asking us to do more, and I always like to point we are doing lots, and so I always like to know when they're going to get it so I can remind them that, yes, our partnership is strong and we are there with them. So, thank you.
Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just wondering if, I was looking through this and it wasn't immediately clear what the language changes was. It was all Section 3, and I'm just curious if I could get just a brief overview on what that changes.
Chair Fernando, Commissioner Anderson. Commissioners, David Hewitt is here, and he can provide background.
Welcome.
Chair Fernando, Commissioners, Commissioner Anderson. Thank you for the question. Yes, all 4 of these joint power agreement amendments, as has already been mentioned, these are kind of routine items that come through each year. These are all long-standing arrangements by which the city transfers money that they receive from the federal government to the county, where we have the expertise and the infrastructure to better administer it. The changes to the agreement are to align with the county's evolving disposition with regards to federal terms. So ensuring that the county is only entering into terms and agreements that align with our mission, vision, and values. So that's the big picture, but if there's more detail needed, we can provide it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? With the motion before us, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? A motion carries, and 13C to 13F are approved. What appears to be the last item of business before this body is 13G, an agreement with United States Department of Housing and Urban Development Continuum of Care Program to accept grant funds for rapid rehousing services for families experiencing homelessness. The period is Jan 1, 2026 to December 31, 2026 at $1.67 million approximately as a receivable. May I have a motion, please?
I'll move it.
Second?
Thank you, Commissioners Gotel and Conley. Ms. Wetland,
Chair Fernando, Commissioners, David Hewitt can provide background.
welcome back.
Thank you, Chair Fernando. Commissioners, this also is a long-standing renewal of a federal grant paying for families' rapid rehousing, which is time-limited assistance for families to help them exit homelessness, exit our shelter system, find accommodation in the private rented market, provides time-limited subsidy up to 2 years to help them settle, and support services to ensure they're able to sustain their housing and achieve the stability beyond that point. Again, this is coming forward as immediate approval, simply because it took time to ensure that we were aligned with our disposition with regards to terms and conditions in the federal government, and we are coming up at the point at which it needs to be renewed. So that's the basis on which it comes here today.
Thank you. Discussion, colleagues.
Madam Chair.
Yeah,
I just had a quick question, Mr. Hewitt, if you don't mind, because these have been such great help to the county. Are you hearing anything about whether they'll be available in the future or not, as we hear about cuts? Do you know anything?
Thank you, Chair Fernando, Commissioner Gotel. We are expecting this grant is part of the annual Continuum of Care program. There is a master, if you will, an overarching grant application each year that the county submits on behalf of our whole community, which includes but is not limited to this grant agreement. We are expecting the notice of funding opportunity imminently, and my crystal ball, I'm going to say, does not tell me exactly what's going to be in it. So I think that's information that we expect to have very soon.
Okay.
But the opportunity to at least apply, we are expecting imminently.
Okay, thank you.
Any other on this item? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and I believe that concludes our agenda. Motion to adjourn, please.
So, second.
Second.
Commissioners Edelson and Anderson. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned, but don't go too far. We have two authorities that will get to meet, and I believe I'm handing it over to Rail Chair Green.
Good afternoon, everybody. I will call to order this meeting of the Hennepin County Regional Rail Authority. Today is Thursday, September 25th, 2025. The first item on our agenda is to approve the agenda. Is there a motion?
Second?
Motion from Commissioner Lundy and a second from Commissioner Conley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Our agenda is approved. Our second item on our agenda is a presentation on the Rail Authority 2026 proposed property tax levy and budget from Ms. Cerny, who is Deputy Executive Director of the Regional Rail Authority, among other titles. Thanks so much.
Good afternoon, Chair Green and Commissioners. Along with the Executive Director, today I will cover the county's Regional Rail Authority budget and how it serves residents, provide an overview of how the proposed budget and levy highlight how this work advances county priorities to eliminate disparities and advance climate action. The Hennepin County Regional Rail Authority owns 40 miles of abandoned railroad corridors in order to preserve them for future transportation. We use this county property to maximize opportunities to connect people to places and support a healthy and thriving community for current and future generations. The Rail Authority plans and funds transitways in Hennepin County. Currently, we are involved in the 13.4-mile Blue Line LRT extension connecting North Minneapolis, Robbinsdale, Crystal, and Brooklyn Park. This is a generational investment in an underserved community that relies on transit to access work, education, and healthcare. This corridor is poised for growth and is already projected to grow by nearly 200,000 people by 2045 and see an increase in 100,000 jobs. Park agencies operate trails on all the corridors, and the Rail Authority is responsible for maintenance and maintenance and assets outside of the trail area. This creates a car-free travel between cities and is used by roughly 2 to 3 million is used roughly 2 to 3 million times a year by residents and visitors seeking healthy transportation and recreational opportunities. Now I will roll into the budget and levy piece of this. The 2026 proposed levy is flat with no recommended increase, and includes a slight decrease in expenditures for 2026. The Regional Rail Authority has 3 funds: an operating fund, a debt service fund, and a capital projects fund. For 2026, the proposed Fund 85 is proposed to decrease is a proposed decrease of $1.3 million. Fund 86 has an increase of $12,000, and Fund 87 has an increase of approximately $1.2 million. In general, what that means is this is a shift of expenditures to increase capital investments in infrastructure and decreases operational expenditures. The Hennepin County Regional Rail Authority's commitment to transit investments seeks to eliminate disparities by connecting people to jobs, education, healthcare, and recreational activities. Hennepin County plays a major role in the build-out of our transit system. Investments in transit infrastructure significantly contributes to disparity elimination efforts across multiple domains. High-quality transit makes it possible for people who don't have a car or choose not to drive to access more opportunities for employment, education, and healthcare. Major transit projects like the Green Line and the Blue Line light rail extensions create thousands of jobs and generate billions of dollars in economic development. This development creates new housing and commerce through more sustainable transit-oriented land use. In turn, it also creates a tax base to support other investments in infrastructure and services. By incorporating strategic investments to prevent displacement and build inclusive community prosperity, we are ensuring that these transit investments benefit both existing residents and future generations alike. Transit is also critical for achieving our climate action goals. Providing residents a convenient and reliable alternative to driving encourages mode shift and reduces vehicle miles traveled every year by millions, contributing to a healthier environment and healthier communities. We are also continuing to pursue increased native planting and tree canopy opportunities along the corridor. A cross-departmental team is working with a consultant to identify opportunities for native plantings and tree canopy enhancements throughout the Rail Authority corridors. There's funding for implementation in 2026. Over time, implementation will result in a low-cost, nature-based solution that supports infrastructure and climate resiliency, as well as increased community livability, help reduce the strain on built infrastructure by storing and filtering stormwater runoff. Staff are also exploring innovative approaches to use county-owned property, including these Rail Authority corridors, as in addition to county right-of-way, to restore habitat for wildlife, to boost pollinators and candidates for listing of endangered species. The county is contributing to monarch conservation by voluntarily enrolling in a cooperative agreement to protect monarch habitat along roadsides. County staff will monitor corridor habitat each year, tracking milkweed, flowering plants, and pollinators. This summer's first survey at the county's Public Works facility in Medina showed habitat quality ranging from moderate to excellent. This is a wonderful, proactive approach and commitment. And with that, I will pause for any questions.
Thank you so much, Ms. Cerny. Really appreciate the overview. And I guess I'll start with a couple comments. Principally, I'm really appreciative that the proposal is to keep the levy for the Rail Authority at 0%. I know I'm feeling, I suspect some of my colleagues are feeling that the focus on this year really is on addressing federal cuts for the rest of the county budget, and that is no small task. And so thank you for the part that you're proposing that the Rail Authority play in that. I also want to highlight the emphasis on transit and greening. I feel like it's so consistent with both county priorities and also the way in which we try to do business and make sure that everything we do has multiple bottom lines. And so thank you for that as well. Any other comments or questions? Commissioner Lundy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to also thank for the budget, but I wanted to pick up the topic of Blue Line. I think I want to thank Ms. Cerny for her comments or presentation on the value of Blue Line. It is arguably, it goes to the heart of my district and Commissioner Fernando's. It goes to the heart of the people that actually suffer the worst in our economy. They're the people demographically, financially, the people where the concentration of poverty, which in Minnesota, poverty also equals demographics. And so this fact that we are investing in the Blue Line, that we have been patiently and impatiently waiting for decades on this, has not changed. The fact that the poverty has continued to increase, that the fact that opportunities have not magically appeared like everyone thinks they will. And so that this is due, that this is owed, that I know as mayor and commissioner, I fought hard to make sure that other projects were done because we were waiting our turn in that. I do want to highlight a few things. One is, I know there's this idea that somehow we should kill this project, that'll save money, and that's absolute BS. The money, if this project goes, money will go somewhere else. It's not going to pay the deficit. It's going to the next in line. Oh, by the way, the next in line happens to be places like Dallas, Fort Worth, Salt Lake City. I call them red states. And so the idea that we're saving money, it just means that Minnesota doesn't get the money that we put into this federal government, that we won't get it back. So, and I also call up people that say they support transit and they say they support this project to actually fight for it. The time of sitting meekly on the sidelines and hoping things will get done. I'm glad to be part of this board where when we say we support transit, that actually means something. It doesn't evaporate at the first moment of contact or people who have disagreement. This is important. This is needed. And I'll just point out, as Mayor Brooklyn Park, there's a reason there's a lot of Japanese companies and companies from Europe locating at the end of this line. It's because to them, transit means roads, buses, and rail, and that's the reverse order. They don't think of cars. So I know that when we talk about eliminating disparities, not just treating them, that this is one of those ways we can start to open the world up to people who do not have a way to get to jobs, who do not have a way to get to education, and having something reliable. And as I say, and I say often, if you give us this track of metal in the ground, you can't pull it from us. And we have seen too often in my area that transit gets pulled whenever it becomes cost prohibitive, and our people pay the price. So I'm glad we're here today. I'm glad we're doubling down. And I ask people who say they believe in the project to stand up and be counted, not to sit meekly on the sidelines.
Thank you, Commissioner Lundy. Commissioner Guttel.
Thank you. I echo the sentiments of my colleagues up here, but so I'm going to point out something different, which is just the greening piece of this when you talked about the monarch butterflies and the other pollinators and everything like this, and how you're actually planting milkweed and such like that to make sure it has, my garden has milkweed wherever I can put milkweed in there, and I collect the seeds and I give them to my neighbors and said, if you want to see the beautiful butterflies you see in my yard, plant some of this in your garden. You can pull it out when it gets to be old or when there's too many of them, but I just love to see, it's such a small thing that we can all do, just planting some of those pollinators, and they take over like weeds because they are weeds. And so that's just great. I put up with the ragweed because I have a few stalks of that in the yard too, but it's worth it to see those beautiful butterflies every single year. And by the way, sometimes I'll bring in some other types of critters we haven't seen a lot of, which are hummingbirds, and I love seeing them. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Guttel. Commissioner Fernando.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I always appreciate when we can demonstrate focus throughout the organization, and that is demonstrated by flat levies with the authorities and a focus on our the county government budget. I echo Chair Green's comments that when the county invests in something, we have multiple outcomes for multiple audiences and at multiple timelines. So the Rail Authority, I will end with a strong transit pitch to, meet the other side of the blue line, with the appropriate vigor. But the Midtown Greenway, the multimodal trails have really advanced in our community with a regional access point because of the Rail Authority's vision from several decades ago. I'm appreciate being reminded of that annually. So thank you, Mr. Nerdy, for your presentation. I want to take a couple minutes to also talk about the Blue Line extension and just transit in general. Transit has become this very controversial topic for many reasons, when at its core, it is literally about people getting to where they need to go. People getting to school, people getting to job, people getting to healthcare. We are moving towards a demand in community and society where people are interested in optional transit, right? The choice of being able to use transit. I'm a single car household, so it's kind of a choice. I'm not formally dependent, but my household is reliant on transit. What I want to take a moment to speak about is the very transit reliant area of the Blue Line extension where there are no cars for these residents. They have no other option. There aren't jobs nearby. The economic development has not made it to that localized investment. So there literally is not an option for a number of the residents that will be served by this transit project, overdue by decades. And so I encourage conversation around, well, what's the alternative? And that's really what has helped me with a number of my residents. There is no alternative for tens of thousands of residents who live here in Hennepin County, the most transit reliant area, and unfortunately, one of the biggest food deserts, which connects to jobs, connects to economic development. And so I know we're here, it's on Max Levy Day. There's a lot of energy around the difficulty and the compounding levies that are taking place across local governments. And I am grateful for the resolve of this board. I am committed to increasing this resolve. Residents and workers and unions and advocates fought over years for the right to have transit and for the financial contribution in order to achieve that. And we have a relatively funded transit system. Met Council and MnDOT and other transit supporting agencies, including us, have invested in the energy and have helped to metabolize our residents' feedback to creating revenue sources. So we have the revenue sources in this state. We have the plans already approved, 87% municipal consent. And we have residents that do not have the ability or luxury to advocate every single day for the right to take the bus or the train. I will also say that taking transit, I've heard a lot of feedback around safety, and I am taking that, I want to take that into different focus as I move forward. I take kids on transit, especially when we go to Lynx games, go Lynx. And a godchild of mine recently told his parent when they asked how the bus experience was, my godchild said, "I'm not sure if that bus was for kids." And we thought that that was like kind of a cute answer. But the bus is for kids because I see babies on it every single day with their grocery bags and with their with car seats in the event they have to find a secondary mode of transport. And so I really receive the pronounced feedback around safety and the collective effort that will need to occur to ensure that our transit system is safe and that it is accessible, enjoyable, and that kids can feel like they can be on it too. I'm done with my soapbox. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I'm loving these soapboxes. Thank you, Commissioner Fernando. Commissioner Conley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And, I'm going to just echo everything that has already been said with a special highlight. So thank you so much for all the hard work that goes into this. A special highlight to how we are utilizing surplus railroad land, the surplus land that we have just sitting there. I think that this is a great way to protect our earth and to give back to the earth by planting for pollinators, for planting for sustainability. I think that's an incredible way that we do that, and that we are continuing to see that with each budget that comes before us through the Railroad Authority. An example is D4, where we have this partnership with Four Sisters Farm to grow indigenous food right along the Greenway, and that has been incredible for the residents there and has been expanding. So I want to see it expand more. So the fact that this work just continues to go on because it is a value of ours is something that I truly cherish and appreciate seeing when these presentations come before us. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Conley. Thank you all for those great remarks that I want to second as well. Seeing no further remarks, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Wait. There was a presentation.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a second. There was no motion or second. But that'll come. Vocally, we approved it. Moving on to section 3 on our agenda is the minutes from the previous meeting. Item 3 is September 9, 2025 meeting minutes. I will go ahead and move approval. Is there a second? Second. We have a second from Commissioner Lundy. Any notes, corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The minutes are approved. We don't have a claims register to approve or accept. And section 5 is new business. 5A is to set the 2026, here we go, Hennepin County Regional Rail Authority maximum property tax levy and proposed budget, including a public meeting on December 2nd, 2025, and scheduling the adoption of the final 2026 budget and levy for December 11th, 2025. I will move approval. Is there a second?
Second.
A second from Commissioner Fernando. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? And now we have really approved the max levy and the schedule attached to that process. Thanks so much. Seeing no further items, I will call us, oops.
Ooh, one more item. One more. On the back.
Chair Green, there is
I beg your
one
pardon.
more.
I looked and I was thinking it was two-sided printing. 5B is to adopt the Hennepin County Americans with Disabilities Act. Thank you. I was excited we were going to have this on the agenda and then forgot. So this is something that we saw at the full board. This is the Hennepin County ADA transition plan to improve accessibility for all people on the county's transportation system.
I'll move it.
We have a motion from Commissioner Gattel. Is there a second? Second from Commissioner Fernando. As I alluded to, we saw this at the full board. I'm really delighted to see us adopting this sort of across the major county and lines of business isn't even the right term, just across our entire organization in every way. Are there any questions? We have seen this before. It's probably familiar. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed. And the Hennepin County Americans with Disabilities Act Transition Plan is approved. Seeing no further additions to the agenda, not that that was an addition, seeing no additions to the agenda, I will call us adjourned. But don't go away, we've got the Housing and Redevelopment Authority coming up.
Slow-mo entrance. Exactly.
The housing posse.
And they couldn't roll in without the transit.
Good afternoon. I will call to order the Housing and Redevelopment Authority on this Thursday, September 25th, 2025. The first item of business for us today is to approve the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
The agenda has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item passes. 2A is the minutes from our previous meeting, which was held August 5th of 2025. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So move, Gotel.
Minutes have been moved and seconded. Any comments or corrections on the minutes? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That item passes. And item 3A on our agenda today, this is a presentation of our Hennepin County Housing and Redevelopment Authority 2026 proposed property tax levy and budget. I'll pass it over to Mr. Dockery.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Kevin Dockery with Housing and Economic Development. Pleased to share with you the proposed 2026 budget for the Hennepin County Housing and Redevelopment Authority. Next slide, please. The HRA seeks to create a vibrant community with a diverse, growing economy where all people enjoy safe and affordable housing and have access to jobs, community services, and neighborhood amenities supported by transportation choices. Today's budget proposal and the programs that support it are designed to use the unique authorities of the HRA to help the county and our residents address this moment of economic challenge. Next slide, please. The HRA leads in the production of supportive housing in partnership with Housing Stability to create deeply affordable housing opportunities tailored and reserved for people referred from our homeless response system and other county teams. Vista 44, for example, is now home to 20 families referred from Hennepin County's child welfare teams and 30 families exiting homelessness and prioritized through coordinated entry. These 50 families now have on-site wraparound services, affordable rents, all in a walkable, transit-connected neighborhood. We also lead in resources for small businesses. This new women's health clinic, RAYAF Health, is one of over 260 businesses launched thanks to the county's investment in Elevate Hennepin's advisor network. The founders worked with 7 Elevate Hennepin experts in human resources, legal compliance, and business strategy. The result is a new women's and maternal health care practice that meets an important community need for culturally competent medical care by providers fluent in Somali and other languages. We also partner in community-driven development projects, demonstrating that the sum is greater than its parts. This large project, Native American Community Clinic and Housing, will create 83 affordable units, 11 of them for individuals and families referred from our homeless response system. It will also redevelop the Native American Community Clinic to add size and accessibility. The project is an important investment in the vibrancy of the American Indian Cultural Corridor on Franklin Avenue. Next slide, please. The HRA has the authority to levy and collect taxes in Hennepin County under Minnesota Statute 383B.77. Pursuant to the statute, the HRA must approve a maximum property tax levy and a proposed budget for 2026 by September 30th, 2025. Next slide, please. Today's request seeks approval of a 2026 maximum property tax levy of $22,186,537, with an estimated budget of approximately $24.9 million. This represents a 0% change in property tax levy from 2025. The 2026 budget is projected to decrease by approximately $14.4 million. That is primarily driven by the completion of one-time pandemic recovery projects that leaked into 2025 and the return of unique supportive housing service funding to Housing Stability, where it has resided since 2019. Next slide, please. The HRA budget consists of a Fund 32 operating and a Fund 37 special projects, where most of the HRA's major programs reside. Next slide, please. Approximately 57% of the proposed 2026 budget continues Hennepin County's longstanding commitment to affordable housing. Almost 25% of the budget now focuses on strengthening our communities through small business support and community and economic development activities. Next slide, please. County housing and economic development resources are most efficiently and effectively deployed through a systematic approach. It is no surprise to see that a vast majority of the proposed budget is program-directed, including significant ongoing funding for the Affordable Housing Incentive Fund, Transit-Oriented Communities, Supportive Housing Capital Fund, and Elevate Hennepin. Next slide, please. HRA efforts are leveraged across the continuum by the county's strategic deployment of the 0.25% metro area sales and use tax for housing, also known as local affordable housing aid, which is estimated to generate approximately $33 million per year in Hennepin County. Next slide, please. In closing, too many Hennepin County residents struggle to maintain stable housing. Nearly 1/3 of county households are housing cost burdened, meaning they pay more than 30% of their income towards housing costs. The burden of housing costs makes it hard to afford other basic needs like health care, food, transportation, and education, and to compete for quality jobs or contribute to their social communities. Likewise, the county's economic development strategy centers on small businesses and aspiring entrepreneurs with an emphasis on closing racial gaps in business ownership by providing leveraged access to capital, resources, and pathways to start and grow a successful business. The county's place-based economic development strategies are designed to shape land use and deliver investments that make Hennepin County more resilient and our communities more vibrant, walkable, and environmentally and financially sustainable. Next slide, please. With that concludes the presentation today, Madam Chair. Happy to take any questions now or later on the agenda when the item comes up.
Certainly. Well, we can certainly have a little bit of discussion now. I want to thank you for the presentation and just note that 2 days ago, I think Homeless to Housing recently reached the milestone of housing over 2,100 people, including 247 families since its inception. So I just would say that, yes, I'm appreciative that we were able to keep the levy flat, but also that housing is healthcare. We really are moving the needle on getting people into housing and keeping them there. And like you mentioned, Mr. Dockery, it opens up the ability to focus on other things, like maintaining employment, like, making your health appointments. All of the things are rooted in the ability to stay housed. The fact that we have multiple ways that we do that, multiple buckets of funding to do that for partners is outstanding, and I look forward to the work in 2026. So if my colleagues have other comments, we can, please, Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, echo the appreciation of the work and also want to acknowledge the landscape that we are facing is not terribly dissimilar in this space as it is in our human services. We know that supportive housing has been key to our accomplishments of housing and doing rapid rehousing for people who are unhoused. It was a major component of how we were able to achieve our functional zero for veterans homelessness, and the funding streams from the federal government that supported that work are disappearing. And it is making our ability to do this work harder. And so I just wanted to say that because I know that we are doing everything in our power to maintain the level of service that our residents require in order to be housed, to be healthy and productive in our communities. And I am so thankful for our staff that is doing that work. And we will continue to fight and work on trying to make sure that we sustain that or find funding to continue that work wherever it's needed. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Fernando.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have one question and then a few comments. I'm very excited. My question is on, just to clarify, slide 9. So these are the activities for this particular revenue source, or how? Help me make sure I'm understanding the intention of slide 9.
Slide 9. Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Fernando. Slide 9 generally shows you activities that we've identified so far for potential use under the local affordable housing aid. And then the table at the end just shows in the years we've been kind of deploying, trying to keep to give you an idea of the variety of ways that the county is using this resource to kind of bolster both the HRA, but the county's activities as well.
Okay, that's what I was hoping for. Thank you, Madam Chair. My reason for raising this is, I mean, as you said, Commissioner Anderson, there are a lot of pressures that we will be facing, and for housing and transit, there were efforts successful a couple of years ago to seek to at least backfill some of that. And so I am saying that because I appreciate how we are seeking to program our dollars. I am hopeful that we can be in a strong partnership mode with our municipal jurisdictions so that they are able to employ their allocations in ways that are most meaningful to our shared residents. So that was kind of comment one. Comment two, I am just so proud of this work. Housing is about one's health and safety and success. And in our, in this, it is a function of income. We think about it, sorry, I get so. Housing is a function of income because that is how it is measured, area median income. And so we don't emphasize the economic development and the job necessity is in as many ways as we could. But I just want to state that we are in a current moment where a lot of people are losing their jobs. A lot of organizations are losing their funding. And so income means a lot of things. And for affordable housing, it is literally measured by income. So that there is this connection that isn't even a connection. It's an ingredient, it's a definition. And I want us to kind of sit with that as we think about the ways in which the county will be needed more in the future. So this is more of posture, I suppose. Extending from a posture perspective, I think it'd be very favorable and important for us to measure the quantifiable impact of these investments as well as the storytelling that accompany it. So transit-oriented communities here on the end, it doesn't seem like a major area on slide 8, for example. But we know that a couple of decades ago, transit investments in Robbinsdale downtown, for example, is one of the many reasons why that transit project and that economic benefit to that municipality has, there's this seed that was planted decades ago. And that's really what is taking place with a number of, and I know it was the talent garden, I know that we used to have kind of a garden, what was, it's not Elevate, CEO Next was previously called, was it Talent Garden? No. Economic gardening. Okay, so maybe I just was very informed by you in 2019 and team, but it really, I see it in our communities. We fund a particular entrepreneur, or we help to train a specific nonprofit, or we engage in the leadership in our communities, and then we are seeing those fruits kind of come back decades later. So I encourage the data and the storytelling for these particular investments. They might not seem as pronounced as other areas of work, but it really, really is completely trajectory changing. Home ownership assistance, I know I've said this many times before, home ownership and generational wealth means something different when you didn't have it, when you have the first chance of getting it, and the generational part, I mean, my family, I look forward to seeing that play out for the little itty bitty kids in my broader family. It is only through the matriarch in my family, my Auntie Lulu, that in the 80s, when my family immigrated, they pulled for a house. Then they pulled for another house a few years later. There was like 20 people per house, but over the years, people have been able to pursue degrees, people have been able to grow their families and nearly eliminate our dependence on government programs where I grew up. So it really is, people might not look at this area as work that changes the trajectory of people's kitchen table conversations. But this work really does. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Lundy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just thank you for the presentation. I'm curious, and I know we talked during the budget briefing on this, or at least I did, that I'm curious after this fall is done, if your staff is able to do a look-see to see what everyone invested in. Because words are one thing, but I've heard from some councils that they're pulling back on EDA to kind of help balance their budget, and which is fine. That is absolutely their purview. But as people are starting to retrench on where they invest in affordable housing, I'm curious about how our role might change, where if our partners are saying the right words, but the money that would be matching. I'm also very mindful of, Brooklyn Center's efforts to try to do that. Their developers cannot get funding to do projects, and so they're being asked for the city to contribute more, which they don't have. I mean, 99% of Brooklyn Center is affordable by market. And so they, some places are looking for market rate to kind of rebalance their portfolio of housing. So I'm just curious about that. And I've also heard about people taking the regional housing money and using that to replace money that they already had in their budget. And I don't know if that's true either. I don't know the answers to these, but it might help us inform where people say they're doing things. But as I always believe, where you put your money is really what counts. And so I'm curious because I've noticed things. I see things. We've got Huntington, which is the second largest complex in the entire state with affordable. That just switched hands. I'm curious and watching to see what Brooklyn Park is going to do with that and look for the residents there as well. And so I don't know the answer, but I think we're going to see after this year's budget where people start to put their money or replace money that they get from someone else. So, thank you.
Thank you. Other comments? Commissioner Gotel.
Yeah, I want to thank you, Madam Chair, for bringing this to us. I want to just say to the staff, thank you for what you did with our one-time dollars. I saw a lot of people use them differently and put them in their budgets and have to have double-digit increases, but what we would do was significant projects. We helped a lot of people stay in their houses, and we housed a lot of people with those one-time dollars. So I just want to point that out, how important that was at a time of need and crisis. I have concerns too, like Commissioner Lundy. The nonprofit partners, several of them aren't going to be here in the near future. We know that. That's been told to us. They're in dire straits. They're in trouble. That will add to our problems, and that will be a heavy lift for us. Private entities will be buying up some of these properties, and as the time runs out on some of those moratoriums, they will go to a market rate, and so we will lose some if we're not able to be strategic or find other ways to help them do something differently and help them out. So I just want to bring that to the forefront. It's going to become more important for our eviction prevention work, and I'm just concerned about the homeless needs growing because of these kinds of things in our next future. So I'm just mindful of what's going on. I want to thank you for the hard work. We're going to have to be really creative. We're going to find some new partners and figure out how to move forward in a different way. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for the presentation. It looks like we'll be voting on this a little bit later in the agenda, so I appreciate it. Okay, colleagues, we will move to item 4A. So 4A on our agenda is the public comment on the issuance of revenue bonds to finance a multi-family housing development under Minnesota statutes, Chapter 462C as amended. And these revenue bonds are to finance Common Bond Community's South Haven Summit Point Affordable Housing Preservation Project at 3400 Parklawn Avenue and 5010 Summit Avenue in Edina. The project will preserve a total of 129 units for seniors and people with disabilities. All 129 units will benefit from project-based Section 8 rental assistance, which further enhances affordability for residents. So, conduit financing public hearings are currently conducted in person and via telephone. People who are not in attendance today but interested in commenting on the project proposal to issue the bonds to finance the project are invited to call the toll-free dial-in conference number, which is 1-855-340-8151, which will pop up on the screen there soon. And so while we wait for any callers or to see if anyone is here to speak, I would like to ask Abby Lucen welcome, to provide background on the project. Not quite.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chair Conley. As you mentioned, today's public hearing is related to the proposed issuance of up to $22 million in housing revenue bonds to support the preservation of South Haven and Summit Point, two existing affordable housing properties in Edina. Through this renovation and preservation project, Common Bond will renew the property's commitment to deeply affordable housing, with all units reserved for residents with very low incomes, so 50% of the area median income, and 26 units further restricted to households with extremely low incomes, 30% of the area median. This commitment will be for a minimum of 35 years. We know that quality affordable housing both prevents and ends homelessness. This project will reserve 13 units for people exiting homelessness with referrals from the county's coordinated entry system. This is a new commitment by the developer. Referrals will begin as those 13 designated units turn over. No existing residents will be displaced. As you might recall, this project is also supported by AHIF and Supportive Housing Strategy and will begin renovations in late December or early January. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I will now open the public hearing, starting with anyone that's here in attendance today. Is there anyone here that is here to speak to the public hearing? Don't see anyone. So we will move to those who might be calling in. Again, that phone number is 1-855-340-8151. And I'll ask staff if there's anyone on the phone waiting.
There are no callers at this time.
All right. So we will give it just a few moments to see if anyone pops in. Once again, to participate in this public hearing, you can call 1-855-340-8151. I will ask staff one more time if there are any callers in queue at this time.
There are no callers at this time.
Thank you. Hearing no further callers, I will call the public hearing portion closed. That brings us to item 5 on our agenda, which is the claims register. Item 5A is the claims register for the period ending July 31, 2025. And item 5B is the claims register for the period ending August 31st of 2025. Is there a motion to move both?
So moved. Second.
Item has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Claims registers have passed. And our item of new business, item 6A, is to set the 2026 Hennepin County Housing and Redevelopment Authority maximum property tax levy and the proposed 2026 budget and participate in Hennepin County's Truth in Taxation hearing. I will move that if there's a second.
Second.
Thank you, colleagues. And I guess I'll just add to the discussion earlier that certainly what I see is just really a true reflection here of our values. I see results in creating affordable housing, results that I know will continue, and of course, economic opportunity that go hand in hand. As we heard, the income component is really important. I see commitments and outcomes in racial equity, and I also see keeping our foot on the gas, so to speak, for core programming that we know directly benefits our residents. I just want us to continue to keep creating and celebrating those results and owning those results and preparing for future years of accelerated productivity where we find avenues to do so. So thank you. Colleagues, any other discussion on the tax levy? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item passes. That looks to be the end of our agenda today. I will declare us adjourned.